For you, just kind of if you could talk about, how you got involved with this project and also kind of what it's meant for you personally to be able to finally tell your story in your own words.
Yeah, I watched one of the earlier seasons of Untold, specifically one of the episodes on Marty Fish, and I really, enjoyed the way they told the story and enjoyed seeing it from that perspective, and it really piqued my interest. And then, fast forward a year later, I got you know brought this opportunity, and pretty much sat down with Ryan Duffy and the producers, and felt very at home, very comfortable with them, and kind of was on the same page from the very beginning. Last year was my 10-year anniversary of my Heisman, my Hall of Fame induction to Texas A&M. And it just felt right. I'm kind of ready to put a bow on and wrap up the Johnny football side of my life, I guess. There's not a lot of football going on in my life other than a Saturday in September, October, November, December. So, kind of just tell a great story, be able to put it in the past, and move forward with life for the most part.
Yeah, and you talk about moving forward with life, just kind of, where, what kind of do you have, in the works, or just kind of what are you, what's kind of important, most for you at this point in your life?
Right now is been a lot of the stock, for the last year has been working on this and kind of, telling the story. But other than that, I'm spending a lot of time with my family. I'm getting back to Texas A&M more than I have in the past. Um, and being back, in College Station, going to some of these games, being around the program are all things that I want to continue to do moving forward, and things that I look forward to.
One of the things you talk about in the doc is, at some points when you were there, you kind of, felt like you were kind of at outgrown College Station. Is it kind of a unique sort of full circle moment? Kind of, now it's something that you really embrace and want to be a part of?
No, I said this in my Hall of Fame speech, but there used to be a time when I was in college where I would probably drive as fast as I could to get out of College Station to probably come to Houston or Austin or wherever it was. And now I find myself driving faster to get back to College Station. And it does feel like home. I do feel like, I have a bubble and a layer of protection of people that have my back when I'm there. Driving the streets, being able to reminisce, and life's funny, man. And it's funny how it all changes. But one thing that hasn't is the love that I get when I go back to that city. When I'm on that field now, from a fan standpoint. But being able to be there the last couple of years, we get to first time since I beat Alabama and Tuscaloosa, for us to go back and get a win was really special to be there that day, and be a part of that. So, all the things are different. It's still always is very much home.
And what's it like for you, just kind of, seeing where the athletic department and the university's gone that kind of really all began during that magical season back in 2012?
I think it's as it should be. I think A&M is in a much better place than it was whenever I first got on campus. I think we are on the verge of doing great things football wise. I think last year was a hurdle for us, and this year will be much better. All the utmost faith in Jimbo and the people that are in that organization, the guys that we have in the locker room. So listen, I'm a fan. I'm excited to be tuned in every week to share.
Being based in Houston, I have to ask, one of the things that came up in the documentary was, I think it was, you met with the Houston Texans and the meeting seemed to go well. And then there was, I guess, something that happened at River Oaks Country Club. Are you able to kind of speak or anything that you remember about that?
No, I had a great meeting when I was with the Texans coming in the building. Always knew there was going to be a very big hurdle in that draft class with Clowney. He was obviously a freak athlete, one of the best that we had seen at that time in college sports. And I never really thought I had much of a chance at going number one and going to Houston, no matter how many Aggie fans may have wanted, or people in Houston, or whatever the case may have been. But I wasn't ever aware of anything that ever happened that kept me from going there. I just always felt that they knew who they were going to draft right away.
Right. And, it seemed like the Dallas Cowboys were a bit more of a realistic kind of landing spot. Was that a kind of a tough blow or a disappointment, going from potentially being drafted by the Cowboys to now you're going to Cleveland, which is a big change from Texas?
Yeah, I'd never met with the Cowboys throughout my draft process. I'd never been in any of the meetings. I think I never visited, never toured. I thought there was always a possibility, just because of the times that I had met Jerry Jones prior to that. But when it came down to it for me, the draft was pretty much just kind of see where it went. I felt like we had a floor of where we would get drafted, and ended up going one spot before that to Cleveland. So when you put your name in the draft, a lot of it's out of your control, and you just kind of let the way of the world work.
Just for you, kind of what's sort of the biggest thing that you might have, learned about yourself or realized just throughout this whole process and kind of going back and sort of reliving everything?
I look back, going through this and going over the whole thing and just how special it was. Some really, really cool moments on the football field, some really amazing moments that I cherish. And that's, the doc will be about life and the ups and the downs, and the good as well as the bad. I'm very much a person now that looks at it as the good and takes away the positive. And, you know, going back through this, I've been able to flip through some old games and go through the, game tape and be able to go back and watch and just, um, see how it went. I got to live a dream, whether it was a little bit more short lived than I would have wanted it to, and it didn't go exactly the way that I thought it might. I still did get to check almost every single box off a dream list that I had as a kid. So, I feel very fortunate and very blessed in that, and definitely focus more on the good than the bad.